that we keep record. And I hope everyone is okay with that because it's important.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
keep
please.
referring back to this and learning and comparing notes and trying to build our model, the model governance that we as Africans should have been on, but which we are not on at the moment. So tonight is a continuation of the discussions we had with our brother, Advocate Makara from Lesotho, last year. Things moved, but still the same. We are still the same. So before we get into the discussions, Queen, do you want to once again elaborate who farmers of thoughts are and what the 7 pillars are? What is it we are trying to do?
Okay, let me quickly do that in a very short space of time. First and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody who's part of today's initiative meeting, and most of all to thank Ntate Matara to be here to feed us more, to nourish us more. Basically, Farmers of Thought is a school of thought. It's a home for those who want to detox their mentality, understand, and critique and analyze things from a different perspective. So the focus of Farmers of Thought is on the restoration of a Black child. Restoration of a Black child in a way that it's our thinking and our thoughts that affect us more than any other things. Therefore, our thoughts are continuously provoked, and as they are provoked, we come together and we farm our seeds after our thoughts have been provoked, meaning that it's different perspectives that get me thinking beyond what I have been normalizing and accepted as perhaps maybe the absolute way. Now, it's very important for us to apply our critical thinking and analytical thinking in everything that we do. We are standing on, actually we are driven by 7 pillars. Governance pillar is one of them, which is led by Kim Koko. Much appreciation, King. It's one of them. The whole thing is all about us looking into what our problems and be part of the solution to our current problems. We've got economic pillar, we've got education pillar, we've got adventure, we've got spirituality, we've got wellness and well-being. I don't know if I left something. Did I leave something out, King?
Health.
You caught me off guard. Yeah, that's the wellness and well-being, and the education goes with technology, innovation, and everything. Now, we critique and look into things beyond the normal secular perspective so that we can find ourselves. Because the problem is that we fail to find ourselves because we puff and pass the ordinary. But if we are to find ourselves, we need to go deeper than whatever it's been said and say, but who are we? Before this, who were we? And what went wrong or what changed? And is it working to our advantage or is it working against us? Let me just not go take too much of your time and pause there. I think I touched on everything. Oh, yeah. The greatest gift that we are given by Baba Maponga is the thinking tool. So everyone, even after today's presentation, everyone should apply their mind and critique everything and say, but where do I reason from? And it's all about fixing the estate between ears, our perceptions, so that we can relate with one another and comprehend the other side of life and where others are reasoning from. Much appreciation.
Thank you, Queen.
We have the thinking tool, eh? Yes. Yeah, I touched also on the thinking tool.
Yeah, you have touched about the thinking tool. So we do have... That's all right. It's been a long day and it's been a long year because we have been at this for quite a while now, trying to get this into shape. They say if you want to have any change, the first change you have to focus on is on yourself, because you can change the way you think. You can change the way you reason more than you can change others. But of course, you are shaped by the environment in which you find yourself as a man, as a human being, as an African. So hence why we have these pillars. The pillars are there to guide us in our quest for change and self-improvement. So the last time we had Advocate Makara, he had only 10 minutes, but within that 10 minutes, he really gave us a lot to think about. And in his absence, we continued. And I shared the video with you, that Makara. I hope you have seen that. We had to digest, break down, unpack what the customary law was about. What you simply said was customary law dwells within the environment in which we as human beings exist. So, for instance, it starts from the family, it goes into the clan, and it then goes into kingdoms. That's what customary law is about. Is what the Africans use to manage the relationships amongst themselves. But unfortunately, we have had to contend with different or parallel systems. The Roman Dutch law for us in the south of Africa, and the others, they still also apply common law. We did talk to a few of us after and find that some countries were using some Islamic courts, they were using a bit of customary law, but it wasn't clear. It isn't clear that Africans are sticking to the customary law as it is. So which means customary law is really in danger of being overrun, is in danger of being replaced completely by the common law. What is your thinking about that? Or is it too early for me to say that customary law is about to be overrun?
King, are you asking me the question?
I'm asking Datimaka.
Oh, okay, thank you. Let me mute myself.
Datimaka, are you there? You're mute.
I'm losing. I'm losing most of your content.
All right. My point was, we do have lots and lots of laws that are existing which came from outside. The law, which is the African law, which we have been living on for centuries before contact with the white man, is at risk of disappearing. Is that a risk which you see, or is it too early for us to start thinking like that?
I hope I'm getting the gist, because I'm losing more than half of your content. But I think what you are asking me to respond on is whether we are at the stage or where we cannot say we are losing our own fabric of the law. I think that's where your question is. So I think you are asking me to comment or put my opinion whether we are losing our law or not losing it. Is it what you wanted me to respond on?
So let's say this. In the next 10 to 20 years, do you think customary law will still be in place in Lesotho, or will it have been replaced completely by common law?
Okay, let me ask you something. How do you, am I clear on your
you are losing contact
on your part, because I'm losing.
So let's put it this way. All you have to do now is tell us where the status of common law is in Lesotho. Is it still strong enough, or is it at risk of being replaced completely by common law, or we are going to continue practicing common law as Basotho nation for indefinitely?
Thank you, my comrade. The position in our country is that at the moment, we are at a very, very high risk. Very high risk of losing our customary law.
Yes.
Like I said last time, men on the street, even the lawyer in court, even the men in the office or anywhere, getting more and more not interested. Underline the word not. People are getting not in the customary law or Sesotho customary way of life here in Lesotho. Even the government itself, the authorities, everybody seems to be facing the direction of absorbing the Western way of life, even the Western law. Everybody seems to be facing that direction and absorbing that one and taking it to be the more or the better law. Am I?
Yeah, we are losing you. I can hear you, but
when you speak, I don't get. Yes, I'm also struggling.
Yeah. I have no idea. Is it the Wi-Fi, or are you connected on the mobile?
It always my Wi-Fi is good always, but I don't know what is wrong with it now.
All right. Do you want to switch the video off and see what happens? Maybe if we switch the video, maybe it will be better. I'll switch my video off.
How do I switch it off?
At the bottom there, when you press your screen at the bottom, there will be a video there. There you go.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay.
You are much better. The quality is better.
From okay, thank you. We also have a tremendous influence from the Western countries. They come in our countries as development partners. They come as donors. They come in all forms of aid, into financial aid.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Aid. There's influence on many spheres of life, including law. So here in Lesotho, in most parts of Southern Africa, they influence the government or the governments to enact laws which are dictated upon the authorities. They, for instance, they will be talking about what, I don't know if you know about that. What
No,
you know,
there
as
is
the Millennium Challenge. It's a,
is an
a
example,
very big
yeah.
fund here.
Yeah, exactly. They have just
Yeah.
enacted the
So,
law of
so the huge sums of money will be at stake, and then they will say, you pass these laws before we release the funds. So in our country, most of the laws that they say should be enacted have the way of abolishing, not amending, totally abolishing the other laws. And most of those other laws are the customary laws. They abolish even some of the common laws, but few of them. But mostly, they have to abolish the customary laws and then enact these new laws that come with the fund. So it is another threat that we are facing here. I said the first threat is that even the citizens themselves, they are no longer interested in their traditional ways of life. So I say the second one is the influence from the external influence that comes with the
big dollars,
big boys.
big money.
So they come here and then they dictate. Yes. The third one is the political will. Politicians always have to say to what their interest is at any given time. So as time moves, they have interest in other issues which may not be beneficial to the ordinary citizens. And then you find that when we talk about the ordinary citizen, we are always talking about the indigenous person, the person who has no influence even into how the country should be run. So the politicians are just a few individuals who are there in authority. Then you find that they do not have any interest in how the citizens should be. There's some noise. Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still there. You're still there, comrade. Let me
Mr.
check
Chairman? Okay.
Yeah, continue. There's someone who has had their mic on. I've muted them. Continue.
Okay. I said the third one would be the
You said the political.
each individual state has his own way of dealing with issues at that level. So in our country, we have observed that not any party, not given any action, but most governments, when they're in power, they have no interest in preserving and conserving the customary law. That's the threat. That's about all that come to my head.
Wow. So, for the benefit of members who are here tonight, Lesotho is a beneficiary of the MCC. So that's Millennium Challenge Compact. And under the Millennium Challenge Compact, there are lots of reforms that they are funding as the United States government. And amongst those, there are some laws which they are pushing forward. Hence why the Democrat said they are enacting the laws and are overwriting the laws which we had before. Common laws to some extent, but mostly customary law. So even though we have our customary law, is being eroded by the new money. And recently, this week, is it this week that we enacted a law on inheritance?
It did not pass, but yes, it was discussed yesterday.
Or it hasn't passed?
Yeah, it has not passed yet, yes.
Okay. And how much will that take away whatever we had of customary law in that area?
Very in a very large extent, it is taking almost everything away. It is sweeping it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, my brother. We are at the critical juncture as Africa and as the world, because everything now runs on the money.
Yeah.
Anyone can come in and just buy you off or buy your lawmakers, and your lawmakers do whatever it is they want them to do. And as you rightly said, the lawmakers themselves, they come into power and customary law is not on their agenda. And we as the citizens are not interested in our common law. So is there a way that we can mitigate these risks? What is it that we can do? I know with the money,
there's little that we can do at the moment until everybody is taken on board, like this endeavor of FOT. Yes, it should by all means encompass and take everybody, most people on board, because most people are ignorant. Some intentionally ignorant, some are unintentionally ignorant. Yes.
Okay. So according to our Bishop Maponga, there are only 3 laws that matter. You might have to add your own comments or agree or disagree. I've put them in the chat. But he says a law of self-preservation, then there is a law of family building and preservation, and then the law of community preservation. So those 3 laws are very, very important. Is that still the case?
I lost you.
Yeah, so the 3 important laws which we have or are meant to cover are the law of self-preservation, a law of family building and preservation, then a law of community preservation. Is that too simplistic, or is that actually what the law should be?
Though I lost the second option, that's
a family building.
I have to agree
and preservation.
with no, that one I got. Then you said, is that too simplistic, or then you?
Yeah. So my question was.
Said, oh, then I lost you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So my question is.
Can maybe someone can put that question.
Does that
I lose you, but before we engaged into the meeting, I was getting.
Okay. Maybe we are using a lot of bandwidth. Queen, can you rephrase what I asked in your own words?
Yes.
Okay. I hope I will be clear enough. But if I clearly understood you or comprehended what you were saying, Baba Maponga is saying there are only 3 laws that exist. The second one that you said you missed is the law of preserving family. And then the third law is the law of preserving the community. So it's about me family, and community. So and I believe that King Koko would love to get your inputs on such. Dr. Makara, did you get it?
I got half of what you said, but I think I get the gist. I got half of it. Most words were lost. But actually, the way customary law is, it covers those three types of laws that you have been talking. You have just talked about. Under customary law, you find that we are. Am I lost?
No, you're still
am
here.
I getting through?
We can hear you, my brother. Continue.
Okay. Our customary law is so basic, is so user friendly, is so accessible, so much that as an individual, it addresses you, it covers you, it protects you. The law, the customary law as it is. When we talk about the family, there are so many issues centered around the family that the law is addressing. If I had the time or if I had prepared to talk about how customary law is dealing with the family, you would understand it much better. But actually, the way customary law is, especially in Lesotho, is centered around preserving and protecting the family. Again, we talk about the community, the order, the way the community should live, how it relates, how people relate amongst themselves, how people protect each other, how people do trade amongst themselves, how they trade with other communities, how they, I mean, the economy of the society. The law is dealing with that. How the community has to deal with the authorities, how the authorities deal with the common people, that is the community, the hierarchies, the protocols, the customary law as it is in Lesotho is dealing with those three types as you have just tabulated. It is as simple as.
All right.
It is as simple as that. Our law, the customary law, it is not.
Thank you, my brother. So you mentioned a risk here where the people, I presume they are supposed to be the bosses of the lawmakers or the government, are being ignored. That is a big risk. So what's going to happen later on down the line? So what will happen later on after some of these laws are passed? So let's take, for instance, if they don't like this law on inheritance, how do they appeal it?
First of all, in response to what you have just said, first of all, you are right. The people are supposed to be the bosses of the lawmakers, but it seems that lately it is the other way around. The lawmakers seems to be now the bosses of the people. The multitudes are now followers in the proper definition of a follower. They follow the lawmakers. So the makers just pull the strings any way they want to pull it. So when the law is passed, even if these people feel disgruntled, they will feel disgruntled, but they will not do anything about it. There will be a few, just few drops in the ocean of people who will perhaps take the matter to courts or something, but it won't even take a momentum. You'll find that people just get used to the situation, and then life goes on as if it is normal. Yes.
Thank
it's
you.
like the people have. It's like the people have given
up,
given in. They just lost hope in their lives. They just live. They live to die. They don't live to. They don't have hope. They don't see the light at the
end of the tunnel.
end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
There's no spirit to fight.
Yeah, that's the best way of putting it. Thank you. I'm going to ask you two questions with regards to the land, because most of my comrades here tonight, we are a lot interested in the land, because as you know, colonialism dispossessed the Africans. And most of the land was given to the Europeans who colonized us. And the question which the Africans are always asking is, where did they get the land from? Is there a receipt for that land? I know maybe it's not the case in Lesotho as much, but cast your mind across into our neighbor, I mean, into South Africa. Now that the Africans don't have the land, how will customary law, how will it have protected them? Who has the receipt in this case? How will customary law have protected the Africans in South Africa to make sure that they continue to hold onto their land?
In my country, they passed the law in 2010, which made disowned the people of their land in quotes. Now anybody can buy land from anybody. In our country, we used to have the land belonging to the nation, not to any individual.
Yes.
That is why it was much difficult for the foreigners to own land in Lesotho, because it was not owned by anybody, and it was not sold. But in 2010, the Americans, with their Millennium Challenge Compact, pushed the government to pass the law which allowed the foreigners to beginning to lose land to the foreigners, as is in other countries. So the law before that law, especially customary law, the law, common and customary, but especially customary law, was protecting the nationals, the indigenous people. More particularly, it was protecting the women and the children, because said to be given title. The land was always said to be that of the man, but the house that of the woman. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is the fact. Would say when I king, you understand it better because they would say that house of Thabang, that house of Malagat, that house of Mama. So it was in a way saying that woman will not leave that household, that homestead. That woman will never leave that one because it was named
after the woman.
After that one, men would say it is at Mr. Mama's estate, but would say it is would start now talking about women, and then in our language would say habo tabo, meaning that tabo is attached to that land. Tabo, to those who do not know my language, every second boy here in Lesotho is Tabo. The Tabo is a boy's name. So many boys are called Tabo or Thabang. So we would say, so that in that way, we were saying the land belongs to the people. You remember I said the land, nobody owned the land. The land, that is my word. I said nobody owned the land.
The people own the land.
But at the same time, we said the land belongs to these people. That is the dynamics of our language. We're saying nobody else except Basotho are the owners of this land. But now, here comes the law in 2010, which says anybody, whether from China, from Indonesia, from Pakistan, can buy land in Lesotho. Meaning that man who we use the melodious language that is not only land, then we said this man can sell it. So people started buying land. So we are bit and bit losing land to foreigners. So customary law, as it was, I repeat, was protecting, but now it has
no power.
It does not have that much power to preserve the land. The customary law does not have the same power it had before 2010 to preserve land and protect it for the Basotho against outsiders.
Wow. Thank you, my brother. I think at this juncture, I will open questions from the floor. The questions, gents and ladies, please do ask questions when you still have Advocate Makara here. They are still thinking. Continue.
In that Makara, you just have a way of just, leaving my heart extremely bleeding. Like from the previous wound, it's like you just teared more. But you just have a way of just feeling my joy. Indeed, truth hurts. It's very painful that I always say we're running after money. We have lost our moral values because of money, and it's money that is a snare that is holding us. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and I said to him, we need to be very careful about the fundings, because immediately when you finance someone, the terms and conditions, when I finance you, the terms and conditions are mine, especially in today's dealings, and you are vulnerable. Now, what is painful is that you get into a loan, you are given a proposal, a business plan that it's saying it's going to work. Whatever you want to finance is going to work. But whether it's going to work or fail, we are not assured. I was referring to also the situation whereby people took loans, there was a lot of funding and everything. Then there came lockdown. People could not afford to repay loans, but bank wanted their money back. The long short of everything is that this system has a way of locking us into their debts. and then creating a scenario where we cannot come out. And that's why I always say to our people, I trust and believe in humble beginnings. It is the money that is used for our people to sell us, and the customary law. I think those who wanted to, like the tribal authorities, even if they wanted to sustain, the love of money has affected, because now they are sitting there as the judge, attending to the issues of the village and everything, but nobody is compensating them. Because I, as a citizen, or as a villager, after they've sought out my case, I fail to have gratitude and come back and say, much appreciation for your time, you know? So that's why now they are easily targeted. It's very painful to see how we are losing our assets. Land is the greatest asset. But what I want to come to is that what King Cocoa was trying to ask, I think, I don't know if you can elaborate more on that. How do we, I don't know how to put it, maybe from my side. How, is it possible for us, or what is it that is holding us to acknowledge or be, I don't know how to put, why should these debts be on our shoulders? Did you get what I'm trying to ask in Makara? And is there a way in which we can not be held accountable, or accountable to these debts? Like, let the person who sign on, I don't know how to say it, but let it be that it's not for everyone, but for certain people who adhere to a certain, because at the end of the day, we still have people who vote and don't vote. We still have people who agree to and don't agree to. Ntate Makara.
Yes, my queen.
I just want to know, why should we be burdened by this
My queen.
law? King? Ntate Makara, can you hear me?
I do hear you.
Okay, yes. Why should we be burdened by this loss? And is there a way in which, even if it's a minority that do not want to adhere to, can continue their way? I think I've managed to summarize it now.
Okay. I know Kim will put it in better economic terms, but actually it is about the systems that our government are subscribing to. It is not African. It is not African it is not African to take loans. That is not African. It is foreign for us. Taking loans to feed yourself, that is a foreign thing to us Africans. We know how to feed ourselves. We can subsist without loans. But as the world system it is designed for other countries to prosper. They have to make other countries and keep them, to make them and keep them poor, to make them poor and keep them poor. So we just have to get out of that system. As to how it is, suggest how, but I know the best way is to get out of that system.
Thank you, my brother, and thank you for your question.
Kingogo
Queen.
can put it in better economic terms.
Yeah. So because we have, our self-sufficiency has been destroyed, basically, we depend on other countries, and that is where they come in with different ways and means of tying us down. So this is a new form of slavery, unfortunately. We are going through that at the moment. And there was an article on an oil baron. There is this guy who goes around the world and writing laws for the countries that produce petroleum or produce resources. At the moment, he's looking into the Okavango Delta in Namibia because he's looking to, exploit that. So the situation in Lesotho is precarious, and it's showing us what happened before in other countries. I think because we owned our land up until 2010, you could say we were not as much colonized. But now that they have come in and have started to push into this law, push into that law, because we are looking for the next tranche of the MCC compact, then it means we are bringing down all our defenses. I think that is what you are basically saying, that we need to go to a situation where we can be self-sufficient. Hence, we won't have to be relying on foreigners to tell us what to write in our laws. Queen, come back in.
So, in short, what Ntate Makara is saying, we have to come, and what you highlight, we have to come out of the system. So it shows that the power is with us. Our liberation is with us. We've got a choice of continuing to allow the system to oppress us or come out of the system. One thing that I've realized that is being used of lately to keep our people in cycles of I like it that the Makara touched on it, ignorance. It's like now we're facing elections and the misperceptions that our people are upholding, that when you don't vote, your voice is not heard. But I wish our people could also understand that basically this system, that is how it's designed to say that when you vote, you're actually saying, I'm incapable of managing myself and I give you authority and power to govern over me. And I don't know whether our people are aware that every time they protest and fight the government to supply them with anything, they are basically begging to say, I'm useless on, I'm sorry to use such harsh words, I'm useless or I'm helpless or I'm unable to provide for myself. And I put you under pressure to provide for me. So I think this calls us to go back to applying the thinking tool to critique and analyze our choices as individuals and find self. Ndate Makara, when he started, he touched based on the loss of interest on customary law. And it's us who are losing interest in our culture. So as Baba Maponga said, there are only 3 laws that exist. You preserve yourself, you preserve your family, and you preserve your community. And Tate Makara explained that customary law is clear. It's focused on protecting the people. So how does customary law protect me when I myself don't even want to associate with? So in short, the problem is with us. We really have to focus on detoxing the estate between ears. The beauty of customary law when it comes to protecting the family and how the Western system has focused on destroying the family. In our cultures, it takes a village to bring up a child. In a foreign system, it's an individual, and immediately when the whole village no longer bring up the child, it becomes an issue because that's where moral ethics are lost. So I wish us to go also back to our families to work on relating with each other. One thing that I've also picked up as a danger to ourselves is we've lost moral ethics so much that even our communication is so damaged that even communicating with each other, it's very difficult for us to get in a conversation from different perspectives and beliefs and whatsoever, but focus on saying, you are my brother, I'm your sister, we are family at the end of the day. We are so obsessed with who's belonging to who, marketing who against who, so that so much that we are destroying our relationships. So I wish we could focus on, let me respect where he is and let me respect where she is. But when we come together, it's about us, family, and our moral ethics. Ultimately, when everybody finds themselves, then we will find our unity. Much appreciation. Let me stop there.
Ndademaga, you want to comment on that, or should I proceed?
I only have to agree with Queen in mostly what she has just said. Our law, as it is, the one that they are busy abolishing now, with they are abolishing it piecemeal, but in a very fast pace. It actually, that law, as Queen has just said, dealt with establishing and organizing the people mostly in families, and then it would extend to society and then nations. That is the law, and that is then an individual fits in there. An individual is a part of the society and as well as part of the family.
Okay.
Now, the law would even take care of you or cater for you as an individual. But if you are not interested in that law, there is no way that it can be able to protect you, because you are not seeking any help from that law. So even when it goes down to the next generation from you, you have cut the chain. You are if any individual is cutting that chain, it means from the forefathers to the grandchildren, that law cannot go. It cannot pull. It cannot pull. So our generation is very crucial. That if we can fail now, it means that the generations to come after us are not are at much greater danger than we are now.
Absolutely.
There will be no families. There will be no societies. We'll be just scattered like
wind.
I don't know what to say, but there will be no more us.
Yeah, grain in the wind. Yeah, or sand in the wind.
Yes,
is individualizing us. We are moving away from our Ubuntu. We are in a way hustling out our Ubuntu into that individualistic capitalist system. And I think in one of the risks that you mentioned, you said we are not interested in the law because probably either we have lost hope or we don't even know about it. We don't know how much power we hold as the people. That is the problem. And that stems from education. The education we receive, it doesn't cover customary law. It doesn't. I don't think we dealt with customary law in any shape or form. It's only those European subjects which they put up before us. They teach us those subjects. We are distracted. And then what happens at the end? They sweep in or parcel in one of their laws to take away whatever we had. So slowly, they are eroding our culture, our traditions, and our customary law.
Our whole system.
Yeah. I see my brother Pigbin, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Greetings, brother. And greetings to all comrades available here. Sorry, I had to excuse myself, but I'm back. I don't know. I've seen somebody talking whether we could discuss customary law on farming and the rest. But my context here is very simple. The law was on the land. And land ownership plays a lot in terms of the law. Because when they came, and we've done a session on the doctrines of discovery and the instructions from the church in 1452 by the papal bull and the domes and whatever, that they sent their people, the so-called missionaries, with the one instruction, and that's what they call terra nullius, that any territory or any land occupied by non-Christians is a no man's land. And therefore, anybody who conquers such territory takes over the ownership of that land. That clearly took land away from us, the owners, then became somebody who conquered the territory. That became the informal setup of an authority that was almost being considered the Western or the modern authority, which was away or against our traditional authority. Because in our traditional authority, whether the chiefs and whatever, they existed, but they did not have power to take over land to be private. They were only custodian of our land for the community. But when now the papal bull came in under Pope Nicholas II and took over conquering of a territory, and Christopher Columbus in his letter, which I have, when he went to America and the Red Indies, then he came back, he wrote that he went there, found the people there, conquered them, and left the land to the Christians whom he went with. So it's very clear that any law that do not address the land could not sufficiently address the family. Because now there's new laws that are coming in that women and men must have equal right of ownership of the land. The land is the means of production. From our materialist position, nobody can be successful enough if you don't have control or even a portion of a land somewhere. And that's why they came for our land, for the resources below our land, like our minerals, and the resources above our land, like people, just to ensure that they maximize its use. So my question is very clear here, from where I'm coming from, is how do we reverse the effect of that which gave right to what you call that any authority that conquers such a territory takes over the ownership of that land? That then, when our land went to the state, the informal state by then was this state of the Western, the Christians or the missionaries who came over to conquer us, who originally took our land to be their land because they conquered our territory. And now that land has taken some transformation to a current government that now has a title deed, that you go to the government to give you a title deed to show that you are the owner of the land, which means the government retains the right to your land, which was not the reality. And this land, the means that which was used to be taken away from us was under that doctrine that a land owned by non-Christian is a no man's land. So we were no men in the land. So how do we conquer that? Because if we can trace back our customary laws on land, then we can have a peaceful war, like today. The fight between Congo and Rwanda is on land. The fight between families, people kill themselves because of land. One territory, another territory. Brothers kill themselves just because of land. And if we can address our traditional way that allow us to coexist with the land peacefully, then we can find a road to peaceful coexistence and equality in our community. That's my concern. Thank you, Chair.
I did not get the question because of the bad line. Can somebody
My question is, can you hear me?
address
Can you hear
that? I only heard that the gentleman was.
Can I ask the question again?
Yeah, go ahead, Pigbin. Please.
My question is, the land is the primary production source for all of us. Now, the land was taken from us through the order, the Papal Bull of 1452, which then gave the conquerors, the some missionaries, the right over a territory they conquered, that the land belonged to them. So the land was never belonging to us under the custodian of our chiefs. So how do we refer that ownership of land back to what it was in our customary laws? That's my question.
So I think what he's trying to say is, how do we go back to how things were? How do we reverse that take over our land, which was illegal in the first place?
I'm so struggling to even to hear you, King Gogo. I'm even struggling.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
To hear.
Do you hear me?
Now it's like I've lost everybody.
Oh no, you're still there. Ipsy.
I get the issues on land, but I don't get anything. It's very interesting. I wanted to attempt it, but now I hello, Melquin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are better than anybody else. Your Queen is audible.
Basically, the question is that I think it's basically what I was trying to ask earlier on, and he put it better. How do we go back to the normal way? Because the laws that we are burdened with, it was brought about the papal in 1452. He elaborated that it was through the missionaries that there was a law that was passed that any territory that is not Christian based, they lose, like the king lose their ownership of the land, and the land is conquered, so it can be owned by anyone. So how do we remove such? And this is in relation with this is what I'm adding now. What Baba Maponga would always say: who bought the land for the first time? Where is the first receipt of the person who claims to be owning the land? So basically, his question was, Baba Pitbull's question is, how do we go back to rectify things? I think he just came in now. He didn't start with us. He didn't follow fully. He was caught up somewhere.
Thank you, Queen. It is not that simple. Earlier we talked about the systems. Our earlier system was that of the chiefs. I heard it's like he referred to chiefs. Our system of chiefs and ownership of land, the land allocation, the land preservation, the removals from land, that was indigenous then. Now the system of the white man is different from that one. And now the people in power are using the system of the white man. The governments, the people that are in power are not using the system of us Africans. So now, like we have just agreed, even the citizens, the normal people, the ordinary persons are no longer using the land tenure that was used previously. So it is not easy to change this system and go back to that one, because the large number of people are no longer using that one. Two, the law, whether in Lesotho or in any other country, the laws as they are in such a way that you cannot just wake up today and say, no, I'm going to do this to the situation whereby I will just go to the chief and the chief allocates me a field, then I use that field. No, when you wake up today, you are told that from this land from point A to point D is owned by somebody else. From point D to Z is owned by persons A, B, C, and D. So the land allocation and tenure are different. So we cannot just wake up and say we can go back to that original system. We are in danger, like we have been agreed. So that is my take on that one. I don't know. I just got the pieces of what the gentleman was saying. I could not get everything that he wanted to say. But our economy, I agree with him, is based on land. In fact, land holds sentimental value to the economy of the person. Thank you.
Don't worry. I think where you missed some of these points, we will play it back to you, and then you can provide feedback at a later time. I think we are in a situation where we are like the people of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. We were under the French colonialism for a while, and we want back. We want our control back. I think that's more or less what Comrade Tigbin is saying. But that's fine. Quinn, your hand is still up. Did you want to add some more, or has he responded sufficiently?
Much appreciation, King. I just wanted to add just a little bit more. I strongly believe that our solution is lying with us. And it's up to us to go back and restore our families and clans. That is where our power lies. Why I'm saying this, and Tata Makara will correct me, subject to correction with more of his knowledge. Most of this governance, its power, it's sitting on the allegation that our forefathers gave them authority to govern over the land. And that is why today I have a serious problem when somebody claims to be a king, and then he gets a salary from the government, because these governments are another kingdom. So how do you become a king and then you get a salary from another kingdom? But anyway, that is another topic for another day. Now, we need to reclaim our clans, unite first as families, so that our clans can be restored and our communities can be restored. when we live together as a community in one voice, then we can conclude and say, us in our territory, this is how we live. And these are the principles that govern us, whereby people will be the one who will be leading, because we're going to have our cultural courts. We'll go there and come up with laws to govern us and address our problems. There is no house that is built from the roof. Every house is built from the foundation, which is the ground. But one thing that I've picked up that we have a problem with, we trust the foreign system and we are forever trying to alter it. Political system is not our system. It will never work to our advantage. So the energy we exhaust in voting and organizing, I'm one person, I don't believe in protests and everything. I believe that we can invest the time on humble beginnings. But the question is, are we prepared and ready to walk out of this jail? Because the door is open. Currently, we are self-enslaving because it's us who are fighting for this system. I'm going to make a very practical example. I cannot be speaking against this system. Yet, I want to survive out of its models. Example. According to our cultural system, every child needs to have a home. Every man has to build his children a home, so that come the storm, they've got a shelter. Now, a home is a basic. In a tribal land, when you have a land and build it whatever kind of structure you have, when you die, your children have a home. Even when life goes tough on them, but at least they've got a shelter. It's unfortunate today that it's us who are today building estates and selling houses to our people, whereby they have to pay rates and taxes. There's nothing painful like taking a bond that is a house, maybe that is selling at 250,000. When I make an ordinary loan for 250,000, I can repay it in 5 years. But because it's a house, I have to repay it in 20 years with long interest. Already it's a waste and a loss. After that, I'm told that the house is mine, but I have to regularly pay rates and taxes on the house. So if I die and my children are not employed and are not able to pay the rates and taxes, the house goes away just like that, and all my money, it went through the drain. Can I really, as a Black person, who has the best interest of our people at heart, consider such as a business model or as something that I should even advocate for? So the honor is with us to go and reflect our choices and how we do things. That's why I made mention earlier on our unity, our peace. Let's work on our relationships. Can I as a Black person, advocate for something that continues to divide us further, instead of investing my energy on something that brings us together in our diversity? Because fact of the matter is that we are all already damaged, but we need to focus on coming together and do away with the ego and social classes. Once we stop clustering each other, it will be easy for us to live together. Because once ego is out of our sight, we are rekindled to our Ubuntu. I don't know how many of us are aware that actually this system has wiped the father figure out, whereby your only role is when it comes to maintenance, so that after you work, you don't keep anything to yourself. The children are there to milk you down so that you have nothing. But when it comes to control, it's government and the mother who's controlling. I was shocked that according to the South African Department of Home Affairs, when you want to do certain procedures, only your mother's ID is needed. Your father's ID is not needed. Now you can imagine what does that mean. The father is not important. But when it comes to how your salary is spent, and it's bluntly said, co-parenting, the father has a right and everything. But indeed, they are controlling the children because they are the ones who's giving them laws. It's us who take our children to school and teach them that whatever the teacher says, we as parents take them. I was sitting with my daughter and I said to her, you don't come to me and you say, teacher said. Know that when you bring whatever that the teacher told you, whoever, not only the teacher, whoever gives you an instruction from outside, they are suggesting and proposing. I put the final word down. So it's either I've got a choice of rejecting and accepting. This is where we are losing it with our parenting. And this is how in the later run, we will never be able to restore ourselves. Because once I teach my child that they should listen to everybody but me, then I'm giving away my powers and my rights. And I'm saying to the child, you can listen to everyone. Then the system already has everybody in place. Is the social worker, is the psychologist, is the teacher, is the pastor, is this, is that. It's a very long list of different people with different opinions, confusing the child. That is why we are breeding confused children. So it's us who has to stand up and start protecting that which is our own, and have voices in our houses, and stop competing with the flow. Much appreciation.
Yes. Combo Big Ben, I see that your hand is up, but I saw DJ Mr. P. So did you want to follow up on your question earlier, or is this a new question? So in that case, should I give DJ Mr. P first preference, please?
Thank you, my brother.
Let Mr. P go first.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother, brother Chair. Peace and Pan-Africanism to everyone. I was compelled to add to what our sister was saying, Ipsy. What I see, and apologies, I didn't get the beginning of the call. I came on about an hour ago, so I've just been listening for the last hour or so. What I understand so far is that we have forgotten who we are. We, as Africans, have let go of our culture, our spirituality, and taken on a foreign way of being, as it would be. Now, there are huge ramifications when you do that, because it's not just about democracy, and I say that in quotes, it's not just about democracy and following a westernized way of democracy. No, 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 no. It goes much deeper than that. And the fundamentals that I see that don't seem to be improving and ever worsening are that of family. Family is incredibly important. Why? Because families, the building blocks of community. Community or communities build society. Societies builds a nation. So working backwards, if we got a problem with our nation, then we need to look at the society. If the society clearly isn't right, then we need to look at the communities and how they're operating. If the communities are not right, which they won't be because society is wrong, you need to look at the families. And when you look at our families, most of them or many of them are broken. So you cannot build a house with broken bricks. You need solid bricks. So when you look at families that are broken, you then need to take a look at who makes the family, who created the family, the parents. So relationships are the foundation of any family. And if you can't get the relationship right, the family won't be right. But in order for the relationship to be right, you've got to be right. So if you imagine our global community, all 2 billion of us, if you look at that as one organ, one organism, we are the cells in that organism, and the countries are the organs in that organism or that body. Yeah. So we the cells have got to operate correctly, because in your body, it's the cells that deliver the nutrients that you need to your tissue, which make your organs. Your organs form your body. So unless we can sort ourselves out, and it's going to be a difficult job because we're a damaged people, as Sister Ipsy said, and I've said many times before. Sometimes I've gone on to conferences, Zooms and stuff like, and I've said stuff like this and people don't like it. But guess what? I'm speaking my truth, and that's how I see things. Because unless we can address the problem head on, we'll never fix it. And in order to answer the question initially, it has to go back to the foundation. It comes back to each and every one of us as African people, as individuals, to sort ourselves out as individuals so that our relationships are better, so we can build better and stronger families, which will create better communities, and those communities form the society which will build the nation that we want. That's how I see it. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you want to disagree, it's fine. But we have a very fundamental issue, and it's our own responsibility to deal with that. Many of us don't want to deal with ourselves. And the key to this isn't religion. It's not about religion at all. I see it as personal development. We have to work on ourselves on a daily basis. Because of what's happened to us, we need to repair that damage. And unless we're getting psychiatric help, right? We're not going to be able to do this. So we need to intervene or use a system or a way or a method that many of us either haven't used or don't want to use. It's medicine. And we've got to take our medicine. And that medicine for me is personal development, because once we realize who we are, once we remember who we are and our purpose and why we are where we are, then we can actually address the problem from a position of power. But many of us seem to be just chasing our tails, sadly. I say us, I'm not just saying about people in this group, because it's the first time I'm attending this call. But I've seen this everywhere. I've been all over Africa. I've been America. I've been all over the West Indies. And the one thing I see is that our people, doesn't matter where we are, I see the same problem. I see the same problem everywhere I go. So we can't turn around and keep blaming the Wazungu. Yes, we know what they did. And I'm not saying for a second, forget what they did. We have to look beyond that. And we have to start with ourselves. And that begins with self-love. Because when you love yourself and you truly know and love yourself, you're then able to love others that look just like you. So all of this tribalism, all of this nationalism, all of this islandism, okay, doesn't matter. Why? We are the same people. And that is what is key and most important. And I think if we deal with the fundamentals first, we then will have a more solid foundation on which to build. And the kind of questions that are being asked won't need to be asked because we're all operating in a particular way, in a particular fashion. There's no, those problems won't even be problems. They won't arise. So that's my submission so far. Okay, thank you.
Wow. Thank you, my brother. It's like you were here all this while. You were not irrelevant. All you have said is what we've been discussing. And what you said there about self-love is what this group is about. It's about restoration. It's about us going back into ourselves and addressing the issues that have stopped us progressing or performing up until now. And realizing that we cannot use the same system that destroyed us to rebuild ourselves. We can't.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to add that, yeah. Their system is for them, it's not for us. Their system is their democracy, their way of life, their capitalism, all of that, it's not ours. It's got nothing to do. But we seem to be losing ourselves because we're watching what we're seeing that isn't ours. We're liking what we're seeing that isn't ours. And we're wanting what we're seeing that isn't ours. And that's our downfall. It's not for us. Square peg in a round hole. It won't work. It won't fit. It won't work. So we really need to remember who we are and where we're from. Let the West do what the West does. That's their business. As I've been saying for years, Africa does not need the West. The West needs Africa.
Yes.
The West needs Africa, right? Now, when we realize this, and we find ways to inculcate that within each other, to empower each other, to be who we were made to be, none of that will be a problem. It won't be a problem. But internet is a great thing. It's also a curse. It's how you use the internet. It's what you look at on the internet. And too many of our youth, our young people, are wasting valuable credit and time on TikTok, Instagram, and all this foolishness, the kind of rubbish going on with these youngsters' phones. We're in serious trouble. We're in very serious trouble. Instead of using that data to educate themselves, to empower themselves, to put knowledge in their heads, they're arguing about foolishness, watching porn, posting crap. You know, we need to, the parenting is very important and very crucial. So the whole family unit needs to be restored. So sorry, I just wanted to add that.
You are allowed, my brother. That's all right. What I was trying to say to you is that basically, customary law dwells within a community. Customary law protects the family within that community. All those things that you said, they are enabled within a customary law. But what has been happening in the case study that we have tonight, which is Lesotho, we have my brother Advocate Makara here from Lesotho. He is telling us that they are actually eroding the customary law now. So they are introducing the common law. And all of that is being done by people with money. Big dollars are coming from abroad and making sure they continue to enslave us. So this is where the problem is. It's something we are trying to deal with. The relationship is being eroded. The individualism is coming to the fore. And that is a big problem. I see lots of hands now. Pigbin come in now and followed by Michael before Marie.
Okay, can you hear me?
Very well, thank you, but continue.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute. Kindly, some people who are not maybe speaking should be unmuted.
Yeah, I was just about to say, brother, before you speak, some people have got their microphones on. If they could mute, so they're not interfering with what you have to say, brother. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I heard a statement that it's not possible or easy for us, probably easy for us to regain what you've lost. Then do we want to say that we want to forget about what you've lost and think that you can move forward without repairing the past? Healing is a process of looking back into your dark side of life and face your darkness to overcome it, but not to ignore it as if it never existed. They talk of Sankofa or Renaissance. The fact that our past was destroyed, it took years to destroy it. Yes, it won't take us a day to repair it, but we cannot lie to ourselves that you can move forward without repairing it. We have to take the same time to repair it, no matter how long it will take. Because the fact that we are thinking that we don't have time enough to repair it is selfishness. Because we are not the last generation of Africans to live. There are people who will come after us, and they'll continue the process of looking back to where we were destroyed.
Yep.
And if you take us 100 years, the rest of the generation will enjoy the effort of doing the repair. So we are not in a hurry. Of course, we know we can die in 30 or 20 years, but that is not it. We must do our best within our means to repair our past. And when we die, other people will continue the repairing our past. It has taken years, as I've told you. It has taken years when our land was taken away. But for example, laws are made, as you've seen in Lesotho and in Kenya, about land. Why don't we take space to make the laws? Sometimes people talk about leadership and politics. I'm a politician. I'm not afraid to say that. And people forget that politics is debate. Basically, debate is politics. What you're doing here is politics. Whether you call yourself a politician or not, the exchange and argument is politics. There's never been leadership gap. Even in our tradition, there were leadership. The problem is how those leadership came to be then and now. It's the same leadership, but in different process. So we cannot actually refuse it. The issue is, how do we start the journey to reclaim our traditional leadership? Because, my brother, we will be like a child married with a mother to another father and forget about your father or biological father and pretend that this new father will be your father. That's what you're trying to do here. So the restoration process, the healing process, no matter how long, how dark the past is, we must face it. No matter what it will take, we've traveled to ignore it. So thousands of years, we are now over 2,000 years. We've ignored thinking that you can move this direction without facing the back and repairing the back. And we've realized that there's no step we can make. As I go back to my center point of my contribution, our land is the basic of everything that can restore us. We came from the land. We go back to the land, and we must protect the land. The moment we don't have ownership and ruleship of our land, as I've stated, and I think you stated it earlier, the Western countries are who they are because of our land. And they continue to mine our resources to be where they are. And what we do, we don't defend our resources, we run to their countries to gain the profit there. So we're in diaspora. Some of us, of course, are out of necessities. But those necessities could be fulfilled here. Just that we never took the courage enough to unite and reclaim what is here. So we are going for our properties in their land, which they took from our land. Mother Africa has a potential to build and breed everything we have. But why? Look at when you call Lesotho, you call Kenya. Already it's a land called Lesotho. There was nothing like that. There was a land for the community, either the Sesothos and the rest. But when our land is territory and marked as Lesotho and Kenya, it means already our land has their title deeds. And their title deed name is Kenya. Their title deed name is something else. You see? So, brothers and sisters, comrades, it took a while to destroy our civilization. It won't take us a night to do it and repair it, but it won't stop us from repairing it. Because if we ignore that, we will travel another 2,000 years and nothing we will gain. They will continue controlling us. So look into our land. Look inside, below the land. We were given everything we need to prosper as a people, but we have refused to revise and see how we can make use of it. And looking forward, thinking of digital technology, IT, and everything else. We want to be tech savvy. Agriculture doesn't matter anymore. Or who wants the land? Where will your son build? Where will your son stay if they don't have a land? Where will your grandson go to? Where will everybody go to? So we must protect this. And there's abundance within our borders. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Michael?
Yeah, greetings, brothers and sisters. Fantastic debate as usual. My name is Michael 5X. I'm a part of the Nation of Islam. And when we joined the Nation of Islam, you know, people accuse us of being brainwashed. And we say, yeah, we are being brainwashed. Our brains needed to be washed because everything we've been taught about ourselves were lies. So to understand who we were, we're encouraged to study and read books from the early people who went into Africa, like John Hawkins or John Hopkins. And when he talks about Africa, when he wrote back, he said, I've found heaven. It is paradise. He says the way the people are, the man, the woman, the respect, he said that it is heaven. And he stayed there and he learned our ways and ultimately betrayed us and ended up giving information. Now, our problem was that we were decent. Our problem was that we didn't know who this Caucasian or white man was, right? Like the Native Americans, when they came, they saw them in trouble, they bought them turkeys, right? They helped them, right? But the other races knew who they were. The Filipinos knew who they were. And it wasn't even called the Philippines. It was called Malvinas. Filipinos is a name after King Philip, so they've changed their name. But when they first went there, Lapu-Lapu, the king, didn't even wait for them to land on his shores. He was killing them because they knew who they were. The Chinese and Japanese kept them out for centuries. Anyone with round eyes was killed in China. Okay, so that's a backdrop to where we were. So we had to know who we were, how great we were. Right? We weren't running around with bones in our noses. We were master builders, master physicians, right? You know, their civilization's based on us. Okay, so we go into slavery, and after 270 odd years, they decide to free us, right? And we knew, based on that genetic code of uniting and working together, we built Black Wall Streets. We had, civilized communities, banking systems, schooling system, hospital systems, right? And we knew how to do that because that was in our genetic coding. All we had to do was realize that we need to work together, right? We need to have certain rules of engagement when it comes to us, like do unto others as you want done to yourself, treat someone as you want to be treated, and we were able to form our communities. The only thing we didn't form was an army to protect ourselves. And that's why we were always attacked. America's never been bombed. Pearl Harbor was Hawaii, but mainland America's never been bombed in a sense of people dropping bombs on them prior to 9/11, right? You can count that if you want, right? But prior to, the only people who bombed America was white Americans bombing Black Wall Street and destroying it to rubble, because they couldn't fathom that after all what they've done to us, we were able to rebuild. And we kept on doing it until they just broke us down. So I'm making that point because we can rebuild our systems, right? We can rebuild our systems. China talks about the Opium Wars and what was done to them was 100 years of shame, right? China was a country of many principalities and many different, until they became one people. And when Mao went on that march, right, the reason the people gravitated was because he did something that nobody has ever done with their armies. Most people just took because they could. But Mao made sure that, we have to pay the people, right? Now, China 40 years ago was still, they were living on $1 a day. That's 40 years ago. It didn't take them long to change their system. So they say they get attacked. There's no democracy. There's no this, but they've got their own form of democracy. They've got their own form of communism. It's not like most European communists don't recognize their communism. But who cares? They're credited of taking 700 million people out of poverty. No one's ever done that in the last 7,000 years, right? So we, if we want to succeed, it's in our genetic coding. We can do this. We have to come together based on do unto others as you want done to yourself. Treat someone as you want to be treated. Start with our families, build our communities up. And we can achieve anything. Because if slaves who were enslaved for 279 years could come out and in less than 30 to 40 years build Wall Streets, right? They had no name, they had no language. All they had was English. They had no culture. It's destroyed from them, right? They had no language apart from English. But all they had was in that genetic coding of what we need to do, how we need to be together. And they were successful. Now we look at America now and you probably can't see no semblance of that. Well, no, because it's been destroyed. Every time they set up, they destroyed it, right? But we know that we can do it, right? And, my brothers and sisters in the continent, you've got everything there. You've got everything. You just got to get rid of their educational system. Their system's failing. Don't let them fool you about this BS about democracy. It doesn't work. It's all a lie. It's what the Italians call a fugazi. It's just pretend. You've got everything. You've got your names. You've got your language. You've got a culture. You've got everything the world needs is in Africa. Everything. Right? If you look at what Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger are doing, that's I'm a big fan of Julius Malema, right? He talks about United Africa. It's got to be that, right? It's got to be that, or grow towards that. That's the only way. There's 1.5 billion Africans in Africa. There's that in India, right? Look how small India is. So Africa's even underpopulated, the size of it, because India, China, all of Europe, America all fit in Africa. So that's how big that Africa is, right? So it's a will. You're going to have to, we have to change the mindsets, right? We have to look at, what's going to work? What do we need to do? And it might be hard, right? But, in less than 4 years, we won't recognize Africa if we do what we know is right. And it means throwing away our tribalism. It means looking at each other as being one people, right? Maybe different language. You might need a universal language, Swahili. We can, we can all learn, right? So we can communicate. I know we've, but we need to take back and even more stuff, because, Europe, America is built on Africans, slaves, right? In their coding, they gave them everything. The word blacksmith comes from, blacks who were taken out of Jamaica because they could forge metal like they've never ever seen in England. And they brought them back, and they were just called blacksmiths because they were black and they could forge metal. But they were Africans who knew how to, manipulate metal and move it. I've been watching a documentary on Hannibal. They still talk about Hannibal, who was a black general who conquered Italy, right? Probably one of the greatest generals that ever lived. His master. So it's in us, right? What they've done is trick us. What they did, enslave us. They robbed us. They took our names, our culture, our language, right? But what they did to the brothers and sisters on the continent was they controlled your educational system. They gave you a Christianity, right? Which, these were so-called Christians who sold us into slavery. And even when they tried to, because they dare not tell me about it was Africans who sold you, and I said, even though that's not true, but just say they did, right? But you were Christians. Why did you demonize us and ill-treat us and abuse us, right? If you go to the pet shop and you buy a dog, right, from the pet shop, and you take that dog home and you beat the dog, you have sex with that dog, you treat that dog like it's nothing, is the pet shop man to blame? So they dare not come to me with that rubbish, because I throw it back at them. So you've got no, so you had no, so you were supposed to be Christians. You talked about Jesus. They're liars. They've always been liars, right? I'm not saying there's no good ones, right?
Yes.
But I'm saying we need to take back, right? And reconnect to who we really are.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. We are now left with about 7 minutes. I would like to allow you, Queen, to come on, but after that, I would like Advocate Makara to have a final word before I close. All right, go ahead, Queen. Ipsy.
Oh, I didn't unmute myself. Sorry. My apology. Right. I was also to time, and I realized that it's timing off now. I want to take this opportunity just to appreciate the, there's nothing refreshing like having people who comprehend. Farmers of thought, this is all it's all about. Find yourself and focus on yourself. When you have found yourself, and there's no way I can find myself somewhere else other than starting first with my family, my blood lineage, and my clan and my community, then I will find every solution to my problem. Our customary law, our indigenous cultural teachings was so focused on us. When you meet a particular person from a particular clan, he will know who he is. They will define themselves so much. We knew how to sell ourselves to each other. And what are we on about? Unfortunately, we are dealing with a serious identity crisis because we cannot even define ourselves, even in terms of moral ethics. I liked what Ntate Makara highlighted, that customary law is more focused on protecting the people. And that is where there's a saying that says, that the king is like a rubbish bin, is gathering all the rubbishes. Because in our system, our cultural system, our leaders' interest, our kings, when we were vibrating at positive vibrations, not contaminated as the system has caused everything. The best interest of the king was the people, and that is when we will have our cultural courts where we gather together and we sit, we discuss issues, and the king will be seated there listening. It's going to be us engaging and concluding and say, ultimately, we are agreeing on this, and this is what is going to work for us. So I'm very much appreciative. I think I'm overwhelmed by appreciation that the time is ripe. The universe is for us. Let us come together and focus. The other thing that I wanted to just quickly raise, let us focus on us, tell our stories, who we are, how we came about. You know, when we come together, let's stop judging one another and dividing each other over judgment and everything. There are a lot of things that we really need to wash our brains from, indeed. You know, stop pointing fingers at each other. Then we will unite. Our unity, this is a spiritual war. It's not a physical war. And it needs us to humble ourselves and unite with each other. Humanity, unity, those are the keys that will unlock everything. We don't even need their machinery and their ammunition and everything. When we unite with good spirit, spiritually will be inclined. And as our forefathers used to fight battles spiritually, we will overcome. Much appreciation. I'm humbled.
Thanks,
Farmers
my
on farmers.
Thank you, my queen. I've just realized that there were people here who didn't say anything, and I feel bad saying I'll bring this meeting to a close without hearing from them. Especially my sister Marie, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
Noble, you know what? It's been said, and the passion. I'm absolutely overwhelmed by the passion. That's
Thank
how
you.
I know we're real and we're serious. So I yield.
Yes. Ntlo-Kholo, your mic is on. Did you want to say something?
Yes, yes. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. I was part of you guys for the whole meeting, but I'm also on another event that I was doing now. But you guys were always in the background. I've had everything, and I will receive recording. I know. But what is important, I wanted to say, I appreciate all your efforts, especially the organizers. And then for everything else, you can always count on my support in terms of I apologize. I'm in an event, but I just want to say I really, really do appreciate and I understand what you guys are trying to do, and you can always count on my support for the future. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Sister Myra, is everything okay on your end? You've been with us throughout as well.
Yeah, I was just listening, and it's been a great discussion, and it's been a privilege learning from everyone. Thank you.
Yes, my sister. Gerotich and Chilisi. Samuel and Thomas Sepeka.
No questions from me at all. Just very enlightening and informative. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. Okay. Daddy Makara, do you want to have a last word, Daddy, after listening to all of these discussions tonight? Advocate Makara.
Oh, thank you, King. Mine is only that I really enjoyed this session, and I have learned a lot from the speakers who are coming in to comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother, and thank you so much for the time you spent for us tonight. It's really valuable. As we can see, we are thirsty for knowledge. We are hungry to know who we are, where we are going, what the issues were before, and how do we address those. So as you can see, everybody recognizes that we need healing. We need self-healing, sankofa. And for those of you who don't know, that Sematlane is already building something. That Mafule Sematlane presented readiness for change as well as awakening sessions in January. So we took that forward. We are doing something, and Sister Marie X is leading on that. It's at an advanced stage now. We have 10 people and we need 20 people to have that session going. So we are never ever sitting idle and saying, oh, where will the Messiah come from and help us? We are doing stuff for ourselves. We intend to do that. Our comrade here, Pigeon leads Conscientism Study Group, and we meet every Thursday. Every Thursday we read Dr. Nkuma's book on conscientism. You probably have heard him, how he speaks passionately about Africa. That is who he is. And he ran for president of Kenya, and now he's actually looking at the AU job. That means we are not sitting idle. We are trying by all means to fight for what we know is ours. What we have realized here today is that we the people are the bosses, but we don't know. We don't seem to know that. And that is where our power is being eroded, because we don't know the power we have. We think the power rests with the politicians or with the members of parliament. No, not with those, it's with us. It's time that we take over what is rightfully ours. We did have our customary law. We did have our Ubuntu. We did have our Umoja. But all of these things are being eroded while we are there. We are distracted, or we are thinking maybe democracy is the right thing to do, or we think capitalism is the right thing to do, or we think the West is where to go. No, we have everything in our hands, and everything is in the continent called Africa. But we have allowed the demarcations, the partitions, which were done in 1884, 85 in Berlin, to continue. We need to wake up and realize that we have our own kingdoms. We need to restore those kingdoms. And through those kingdoms, we will realize how closely related we are. We are family. We are family. They try to divide and rule us, but that cannot happen. We cannot sit idle for long and let that happen. They try to divide us in Africa and us in the diaspora and said, we sold our brothers and sisters because they don't want to pay reparations. They have to pay reparations. They have to pay for what they have done. And we need to deal with ourselves. And it's time. It's time for that restoration to continue happening. So my name is Koko Matata. I am from the Fourth Governance pillar at the moment. If you want to join Fourth Governance, for those who are not there, let me know, or let Queen Ipsy know. And there are so many other groups which we are working with. One of them is the New Pan-African Agenda. I'm looking to put a session in the coming couple of weeks in which we are going to talk about life here in the diaspora, because most people think here is paradise. No, it is not paradise. Paradise is in Africa. We need to learn that. We need to realize who we are. The children of the sun, Bahalak, the melanated sons and daughters of the red soil. I thank you for your time tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you also. It was a pleasure, Brother Coco, hosting all of you here. As usual, we are ready to work and host any Pan-Africans, the like-minded progressive Pan-Africans. Tomorrow we'll be having a session on the French. It's called The Shared Wickedness of the French Government, and we'll be analyzing the path for the continuation of colonization in our CSG class tomorrow, 7 p.m. GMT. So we'll be discussing how that exploitation has taken place and the current affairs in West Africa. So also, just a reminder, I think I'll be sharing the link to those who will be available. But You are free to work with all progressive Pan-Africans. If there's any way you can find any hostage or any session that is progressive, we can always be here as brothers. We need to work together, because if we don't work together, we cannot liberate Africa. So this is a session where all Pan-African groups must now start working towards the same direction. So I appreciate this. It's always a pleasure having you people.
Thank you, my brother. Cheers all.
King Koko, I request that